There have there have been lots of things that I have learnt since starting the preliminary exercise. I have learnt how to compose together a sequence that does not have any jump cuts. Also how consistent continuity editing has to be when constructing together a sequence. During the preliminary exercise, we had many different problems with getting the 180-degree rule right, and we also had problems with the location it was set in. This is because it didn't work out correctly, and we didn't find the original location would help us with the 180-degree rule and the concept of match on editing. However, when we looked at our footage, we found that this didn't work, so we had to find a different location to set it in. We found that this worked a lot better than our first choice. During the process of finding locations, this helped me realize that it's very important to get the right locations so we can shoot the right footage and that we can do the process of editing correctly. Another technique that I have learnt was to use Final Cut Pro. We had used this to edit together our trailer and our final product. When we was doing our preliminary exercise, we had to use iMovie, as most of us were starting out with using the editing software. I had also learned about the sound and Foley sounds, even though we didn't use any type of sound in our preliminary exercise. We had to use this and learn about it, so we was able to use it in our opening sequence. I have also learned how to use the camera effectively and how to use the camera so that the footage was smooth and that we are able to use it. Also about the different camera angles and shots that could be used in our main sequence. One of the shots that we had used in our preliminary exercise was a tracking shot of the two girls walking out of the gates. This shot was not very smooth compared to what it could have been with a more steady hand, and could have been done slower. When we was doing our preliminary exercise, looking back over it, there was lots of jump cuts. When we was having the conversation at the table, there were lots of jump cuts which affected the sequence. Overall, for myself and as a group, I feel that we have successfully learned lots of things about the whole process, such as all the planning and preparation that's involved when you are going to make an opening sequence, and that it is very time consuming and there's a lot of thinking and putting things together before you can even start with producing something from scratch. That's only worth 2 or 3 minutes. As I was behind the scenes of the making of Hellsing, there's a lot to think about, such as dealing with the camera and needing to get the correct mise-en-scène to make sure that you get the right atmosphere and tension that we want to be created. As I had no experience of being behind the scenes in the preliminary task, I found it very useful and interesting of what it's like to work in front of the camera and behind the camera.